Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bellagio press conference with CEO of Bellagio Industries, Dirk Johnson. Just want to thank everyone for showing up, and without further ado, let's get this thing underway.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, you right there in the front.
What input factors are needed to produce the casino gambling service?
Well, that's a great question, actually. So, the main input factors that I would say Bellagio requires is, first of all, the most important thing, the resort building itself. We got to have a huge facility. Resorts just tend to take up massive amounts of square feet, so that is definitely a huge requirement. We need a fair amount of prize money at first, obviously. And then the next most important thing, I would say, is we need a huge amount of employees. Bellagio, in particular, employs roughly 9,700 employees, ranging from dealers to chefs in the kitchen. Yeah, the gentleman right there in the teal jacket.
How is the service of a casino gambling resort created?
So basically the way that we make our product, what goes into that, to answer your question, comes down to 4 separate firms, really. So the first of which would be the game equipment team, which basically develops our games and maintains them, the machines and the games themselves. Second, we need a management team for security and things of that nature to just make sure that everything on the floor runs smoothly and that things remain civil. Thirdly, we need a casino infrastructure maintenance team, which is in charge of construction projects and things of that nature. And finally, an interior decor design team, which just makes the facility more aesthetic for the guests and things like that.
Mr. Johnson, how large is the casino industry and where is it geographically centralized?
All right, so I would answer your question by just telling you what our revenues are. So globally, it's 159.71 billion. In the U.S. alone, we bring in $65,497 million in revenue. The amount of employees that we employ is 1.7 million globally. So the casino industry is huge. So to give you guys a comparison from the casino industry to other industries, the nightclub industry and the bread industry are just examples. They're, as you can see by the numbers, comparatively a lot smaller. Now, the reason why the casino industry takes in so much revenue, I think, can be explained by a couple factors. Number one, it's a get-rich-quick type situation, so a lot of customers are attracted to that. Second of all, we make a lot of one-time purchases, right? We only have to pay for the slot machines, the tables, the facility only once, and the customers continue to flow. And then finally, we bring in a lot of consumers from the sports industry, and people tend to be very passionate and emotional about their sports teams and willing to gamble a lot of money when it comes to that. So those are a lot of the reasons why we're such a huge industry. And you know what, getting back to your first question regarding our global location, the casino industry is located, it's really centralized in 3 main locations. The first of which is Las Vegas, Nevada. Second of which is Macau, which is a province in China. The gambling industry is actually pretty huge right now in Eastern Asia. And finally, on Indian reservations. Now, I guess the best explanation for why we are so centralized in these locations would be that we have to deal with a lot of restrictive entities, the main of which would be the Gaming Control Board, which is determined by government regulations, basically, which require any gambling firm pretty much to gain a bunch of licensing from state legislature. So just to wrap things up, guys, the last thing I'm going to talk about is where the casino industry is headed in the future. First of all, starting with new technologies. Basically what we're doing is we're digitizing the casino industry by incorporating social media and making downloadable content for slot machines. And lastly, we're developing this piece of technology called the Eye in the Sky, which has really advanced facial recognition technology. Next, outsourcing that's going on in the industry right now. Basically, we're heading towards Eastern Asia. That's really where the emphasis of the industry is right now. And finally, controversy in the industry right now. The main one at the moment is clamping down on gambling that goes on in tribal land. A Supreme Court decision in 1987 gave tribal territories full autonomy with gambling, and we're just trying to cut down on that because it's causing issues currently in the industry. But anyways, guys, that's it from me. I want to thank you all for coming to the press conference. Have a good day.